Hey everybody, it's Susan Seiler, Director for Classical Conversations, Livermore, and it's Cycle 1, 2015, and I am in my 4th year as a director. There are a few things that I've learned that I thought I would share with you that helps me to have a more streamlined approach in the busy season of January through March. A friend of mine gave me an acronym and I really love it. It's to have a system. And system stands for save yourself stress, time, energy, and money. So indeed, I am here to share with you how to have a system of getting ready for the busy season that happens in January. But first, let me congratulate you. If you are watching this video and you are entering in to your second quarter, already in your second quarter, you have made it through your entire first quarter, which is 1/4 of your CC year. So congratulations. I hope that by the time you complete your second quarter tutor meeting, that things are slowing down a little bit for you as a director. The super busy season of getting your campus off the ground, I pray has tapered a little bit or even a lot, and that you take time to bask in the fruit of God's goodness and faithfulness in where He's brought you thus far. If it's your first year or if you're still having a rough time on your campus for any reasons, I want to encourage you that it does get a lot easier and much more smooth in your second or third year for sure. Actually, second year. My first year was crazy. It was my first year as a director. It was my first year in classical conversations. And without a doubt, it was hard. I spent a lot of time not just trying to understand the CC program and trying to understand art and science and getting all that together and doing more than I should on all those fronts, but navigating people and relationships with people. That took a lot of my time. But God grew me in each of those circumstances. And while there are still people things to manage, they don't stress me out anymore. I don't think about it incessantly. I'm not going over conversations in my head over and over and over. God's really just given me peace and helped me to see how to just trust in Him and to leave those things at the foot of His cross. So if you are in that situation, if it's in your early years, I'm praying for you and that God will continue to grow you and that you will indeed also learn more how to leave those things at the foot of His cross. But now back to October time season. So first, congratulations. Secondly, this might seem like a good time to kind of take a break. And it is a good time to take a break in certain respects, but there are many things that you can be doing in October and November before the holidays hit to lay a good solid foundation for the busy season that comes in January. So I want to go over a few of those things with you. First, let me just say, there are always things you can add to this list. Community holiday events, challenge chats, excellence in education events, school choice weeks, tons of stuff you can do. However, I'm intentionally keeping this to a basic level that each director is going to need to be addressing. But the first thing I'm assuming is that you're already talking to your families, that you're already connecting with them. You're asking them about how their homeschool is going. You're asking them about their views on CC, but more importantly, that you're asking them specific questions. What's going easy? What feels hard? What specific things are you liking about CC? What specific things are you not? How are you entering into the dialectic stage of your understanding of the classical model? Some sort of specific questions that's going to help you delve into understanding, really understanding them and how they're doing in their homeschool, and also trying to get a sense of how CC is a fit for them, how it's working for them at home. So I'm assuming you're doing those things already. If you're not, this is a great time, and that's the first thing I would encourage you to do during this time frame. If you do nothing else on the list, connecting with your families, I think, is the most important. Okay, so the other thing is your second quarter tutor meeting. If you've already had it, you can fast forward through this part. If you have not, there are 4 things that I would encourage you to touch on with your tutors. First is some end of year things. Yearbook. Do you want one? If you don't have an established plan yet, it's a good time to see if your tutors have suggestions or if you can get their buy-in. Which families are taking pictures in your class? Who seems to have creative energy? Those sorts of questions. And then to follow up and ask your families individually. Don't just send a blanket email. People don't respond to that. But to ask those specific families that your tutors mentioned if they would help. Also, also within the end of year things, end of year celebration. It's not an end of year celebration if your tutors aren't there. So are they willing to come back for a week 25? Do they want to have something in the evening, or will you do it just at the end of week 24? So good questions to be asking them during this tutor meeting, second quarter. Also, number 2, remind your tutors of the Memory Master proof date range. They need to have that on their radar. They need to have Memory Master on their radar, and that they are going to have a time commitment for that in the 4th quarter. Also, the tutors need to be reviewing the Memory Master guide and talking to their parents and students in their class about Memory Master. Each year, my kids have been a Memory Master, and the first year that my son did it was our first year in CC. The little guy was 5. I can't even believe it. And I think the reason he was so passionate about doing it was because of his tutor. His tutor was really encouraging in her class of 5-year-olds that it was something that they could attempt and try. And indeed he did. And then finally, ensure that they know that your third quarter tutor meeting is a longer one. You have 10 science projects and 6 art projects to get through, along with a lot of other logistical things to discuss. So make sure they know that. All right, so now your foundation. What can you be doing in October through, hold on a second, there we go, October through the holidays to help yourself in the January through March timeframe? And I think there are 5 main categories, and let me tell you what they are. One is front loading your third quarter science prep, your third quarter art prep, preparing for your outreach season, preparing to accept 2016 families, as well as getting ready for tutor taxes, renewals, and recruiting. So those are the 5 main things. Let me talk about each of them in a little more detail. You need to get prepared for your tutor meeting well in advance. You need to gather your supplies, make your notes, and decide what you want to delegate. Are there any things that you want to tell your tutors to prep for in your tutor meeting? And if so, get that information out to them so that they can start preparing before the holidays as well. For your third quarter science as well as your third quarter art prep, remember you're going to be in outreach season. So when preparing your supplies for these weeks, consider, are you going to want to give supplies to visitors? If so, by gathering extra supplies when you first are preparing for your classes versus, oh, we are having an open house this week and oh, we're having visitors, now I need to go find extra supplies, when you're doing it last minute like that, that can be stressful. On the other hand, you can easily, and most of the time with very little additional cost, just add in extra supplies for your each week of science and each week of fine art. All right, fine art. There are a lot of decisions to make and a lot of supplies to purchase for fine art during this third quarter. So do this early. Make the decisions each week. What projects are you going to do? What supplies are you needing? And what's your workflow? We rotate through a shared art space. So I think through, okay, when the tutor arrives, what's it going to look like for them? What does the previous tutor need to do to get that ready, or the previous parents need to do to get that ready? And I write up a list so that way I have a end of class cleanup and an end on a last class cleanup. Where are the supplies? How accessible will they be for the tutors? Because we don't want to spend a lot of time managing supplies, because we want to give that time to the class so that they can do their artwork. So I really do think a lot about that workflow for each of my tutors because we share space. Get prepared for the tutor meeting well in advance. What are you going to do in your tutor meeting? What are you going to do? There are certain projects that I look at that I go, oh, we're going to need to do that, like Kyoto. We're going to do that in in our tutor meeting. So decide which weeks you're going to actually do or what you're going to talk about. And is there any prep work you need for your tutors to do? Who are you going to have samples for your kids to look at, your students to look at? If so, who's creating those samples? And either do them or delegate them. These are some things you can do between now and January to really help you get out of the gate strong and to really make this time less stressful. So first is be asking your families when you're talking to them or in opening where they can spread the word about CC. Have catalogs there that they can take each, just have some catalogs there each week that they can take and put in their, physical therapist office or their occupational therapist, wherever they take their kid, their gymnastics place. Ask them if they'll go deliver some catalogs now, even now in October, November, December, because come January, people are going to really be kicking it into gear and thinking about what they're going to be doing for the fall. Consider the information meeting needs of your existing community. Do you need an information meeting about essentials? Do you need a challenge chat? Do you have a bunch of families that have 3-year-olds and maybe don't know that their 4-year-olds are going to need to be enrolled? So what are the needs of your community? And start planning events or planning conversations to help meet those needs. Think of how and when to do your information meetings. And when I say do your information meetings, I don't mean just you as the director doing them, but the ones that impact your community. And to get some January and early February dates on the calendar right away. So you either know somebody on your campus who can help you with those meetings and you talk to them and you plan some dates, or you put the dates out yourself and you ask for people to join and help you. But getting those dates planned out ultimately will help you plan your schedule as well. Ask key people if they're willing to join in on the conversations at the information meetings to enrich the discussion. I think this is really important if you don't have families who are willing to, or that you feel are able to do information meetings for you. Ask them still to join the conversation, because it will provide a richer discussion for your visitors, as well as it will model for them what an information meeting looks like, so that it can also ultimately help train them so you're not doing all of your information meetings, which I hope you aren't anyway. Okay, I highly recommend this. You're going to be doing information meetings, and then after your information meeting, you're probably going to want to send an email to those families. Thank you for coming. Here are open house dates, or thank you for coming. This is the date you selected for an open house, as well as some other, maybe you want to send them a link to a couple of videos that either Noble puts out or that are on the CC YouTube channel. So think about what you will want to say and create a template. I have 2 different templates and I copy and paste them to follow up to my families. So create a follow-up information meeting email template. Then consider your open house dates. Are there any dates that are not a good fit due to science or fine art? For instance, maybe you have a small facility, like we have a small facility, and there are some weeks that is just not easy for me to accommodate visitors. So in those cases, I know I'm not going to plan a bunch of information meetings right before that week. I'm going to use my open house weeks to help create my information meeting calendar as well. And so decide, I'm using some extra special supplies, or I'm giving out canvases, or whatever you're doing that would not lead to a great open house. Make sure you know that and you just plan around those things. I personally do not like to be a one-man show, so I do not make it my sole responsibility to greet my prospects when they come to an open house, nor do I make it my sole responsibility to answer their questions and to get them where they need to go. I have a greeter who I give them the list of everybody who comes, who is supposed to be coming that week to the open house, and I give that list to them, and it's their joy, really, to be looking out for those families and to greet them and to welcome them and introduce them around. And then I have what I call a buddy for that parent, which is an experienced CC family, in the same class where I've assigned that parent, and that buddy is the person who's going to answer their questions, help them get to lunch, maybe even email them as a follow-up to the open house in addition to my own email follow-up, just because they've already heard from me at an information meeting. I want them to hear from other people at the open house. So this is a good time of year to be asking people, hey, during open house season, would you be willing to be a buddy? Would you be willing to be a greeter? And to sort of lay that foundation for yourself. And it will also have the added benefit of your families thinking more about who can come to our open houses, talking to their families, to their friends about coming to CC, because they'll have some runway to have those discussions. Create a pre-open house email template. I like to tell people when they're coming, where our address, what the schedule is for the class that they'll be visiting. I tell them what some of the food policies are on our campus. I let them know that their child doesn't have to participate. They can sit quietly with them, or they're welcome to participate in every element of our day. Sometimes we might not have time for them to participate in presentations, depending on what we've got going on, if we have a bunch of demos or those sorts of things. But the tutors always make time for those students. But if it's a particular heavy open house day, then we might not. And I let my prospective families know. So I have an email template that I just modify for each family. So creating that in advance will be really helpful to you. And then, of course, a follow-up email. Just having a starting point before you enter that season will give you a lot less decisions to make. It'll make it not so cumbersome or burdensome at the end of each open house. Okay, that was number 3. Prep for outreach season. Number 4 is prepare for accepting 2016 families. So you are going to start getting paperwork and money soon in the new year. At least I hope you are. So you need to make some decisions about where are you going to put their paperwork when their paperwork comes in. Are you going to hole punch it and put it in a binder? Are you going to put it back in the back of the binder that you have already? Where are you going to put that? If you want to see where I put mine, let me know and I'll show you. And how will you track their funds? Oftentimes on the portal, CC doesn't open up fund tracking for the next school year until after we're already taking money. So I have my own tracking spreadsheet that I use that I love, but what are you going to do to track the funds that come in? Okay. Also, I go ahead and create a welcome to CC email template with curriculum that is needed for the fall, how to get involved between now and then, as well as I make decisions on our main start and stop dates for the new year. Of course, I can change those if I need to and just send out a revised, like, hey, I want to let you know our dates have changed. But people like to know, okay, what's going on? When are we starting? When they're joining something in January, they're excited about it and they don't want to go 3 or 4 or 5 months before they hear from you. They want to be hearing from you on a regular basis. So I also create for myself, a spreadsheet of my re-enrolled or new families, and I make a point to email them at least once a month, especially those new families who aren't in community as of yet that have just joined for the fall, in trying to stay in contact with them. And it might sound like it's a lot, but it's not. It is really simple because I have a spreadsheet all ready to go, and I put everybody's email address in there, and then I just copy and paste it into a distribution list. And it's super quick to forward them an article from CC's great blog, or just a, hey, this is what's going on in the Seiler house this week, or this is what I'm thinking about, or something that God's placed on my heart. We have tutor taxes, renewal, and recruiting. 1099s are going to need to go out in January. So if you don't have your tutor's W-9 form, you need to get that. Also, remember, if you have tutors who worked in cycle 2, who worked for you in cycle 2, and they worked for you in that last semester of the year, January through March or April, you're going to need to send them a 1099 as well. And for cycle 2, I mean the 2014-2015 cycle 2 year. because they've worked for you in 2015, and our 1099s represent a calendar year versus an academic year. Get to know your parents a little more deeply and start considering who would be a candidate for discussing tutoring. You want to talk with them and even encourage them to sit in on other classes that they may not rotate through naturally with their students. Have them sit in a class that they don't have students in to get an idea of how even another tutor might tutor the class. Because once you start talking with a parent about tutoring, they're going to start looking at the CC day through different eyes. So that's why I recommend you do this in October and November. So come January, they've had some mental runway to be thinking about it and praying about it and looking at the class in a little bit of a different way. And during your third quarter tutor meeting, I recommend you let your tutors know, that your existing tutors, that you will want to have a discussion with them about their plans for the fall. And just to back up for a minute about talking with parents about tutoring, you can even say, hey, we're going to need some new subs for next year and some new tutors. That way it kind of gives them the idea that they don't have to commit to being a full tutor right away, that they can be like, yeah, I'm interested in being a sub. It kind of gives them a way to ease in to the discussion if you have some parents who might need that. Okay, so that was a lot. It was like 20 minutes. But I really hope that this does not overwhelm you. I want to encourage you to take each of these 5 categories just one at a time. Focus on CC Science. What are your projects? What are the supplies? And gather those things together, and then do the same thing for fine art, and then prepare for your outreach season. Just pick a couple of days to get started. That's really sometimes all we need, is to just get started. It feels overwhelming and it feels daunting, but really it is simple. And with the great videos the program management team has been doing as well, or the academic advisory team, as well as our awesome director Facebook page, we really have an opportunity to share ideas to make it not so overwhelming. So I hope this doesn't overwhelm you. I hope this blesses you and helps you to focus the efforts and your time and your thoughts between now and the holidays to start strong in the new year. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to let me know. You can email me or Facebook message me. I think I get those things, or just post some comments down below. All right, you guys, God bless you.